Hi and welcome to the Belfry. This is the Brabazon course. This is the 18th hole. My name is Chris Ryan, and in this video we're going to help you fix your early extension swing fault with a couple of ideas regarding the chest and how that can help you make some better moves in the downswing to ultimately hit some better golf shots. Just before we get into the video, in the corner of the screen in the time now, you should have the details for my social media platforms. That's Twitter, that's Instagram, and that's Facebook. So if you haven't already, then please make sure you also follow me on those. So we are talking about the early extension swing fault. The early extension is basically when the hips move into the ball too early and the head therefore generally pulls away from the golf ball. So effectively we lose the angles that we set at address and that we hopefully maintained into our backswing. So many golfers who early extend would have a little bit of a look of this to their motion. They would have hopefully a pretty good backswing, but as they start down, they lose the angles, the head pulls up and back, and the hips move too much in towards the golf ball. These golfers often don't pivot particularly well through the ball, which means that they struggle to get the handle far enough forwards, and they often find that the club can drop too much behind them, the path can shift too far out to the right, and we often get a little bit too shallow. We often hit hooks, we often hit overdraws, and it's definitely something that we tend to see almost from the better player, but it can happen to any level of golfer. So we're not really going to go through any technical ideas in this video, but we're just going to talk a little bit about the chest and just think about how that moves through the golf swing, and that's hopefully going to help us create some better moves. So let's think about what the chest does. So as I take my setup, my chest is pointing somewhere down at the floor. It's certainly not out horizontal, it's somewhere down towards the floor. Now, when I make my backswing, I'm going to do this without the golf club so you can see, and you'll see this from the front on camera. When I make my backswing, the chest points more horizontally out across. It doesn't stay pointing at the ground as it did at setup. So it goes from a position where it's pointing more down towards the ground, but then as I rotate back, it starts to point more horizontally, and that's correct. So here's what I want you to think about. I want you to think about where the chest points through the motion, and I want it to go ground, horizontal, and then ground. So let me show that for you. So we're going to start off horizontally, ground. As I pivot into my backswing, it starts to turn more into that horizontal position. And then as I start down, I've got to get it back to the ground. Now what this is going to do is it's going to help you with that early extension move, because if you have that early extension, you would go ground, you would hopefully go then more horizontal, but as you start down, it would almost stay too much out horizontally. So we never get it back towards the ground. So those golfers who early extend would go down at the ground, horizontal, and never really ever get that sort of chest pointing back down towards the ground. Now your body is very, very good at trying to find balance. So what I mean by that would be, if I start from here and I push my chest more down towards the ground, my pelvis or my hips will actually go backwards to balance me. Therefore, if my chest stays up, my hips are going to come in to balance me. So the hips moving in, the head moving up and back are what we generally see with the early extension move. However, we don't necessarily need to focus on both of those things. If we can just focus on what the upper body is doing, the lower body will often sort of find a better position in order to maintain balance. So if I was to stand up normally and you asked me to point my chest down towards the ground, my hips would go back in an attempt to balance me. So what we're basically trying to do in this downswing move is we're trying to feel that the chest points more down at the ground, in which case your pelvis will go back and we start to create a better delivery position where we've still got some of those angles we haven't gone in towards this way. So very often the early extension move, we see the hips moving in. That's fine, we know that. In this little drill, however, I want you to think a little bit more about where the chest is and feel it gets back to where it started at address. So if I just do a few rehearsals and show you what that looks like. So I'm going to go setup, backswing, and I certainly feel that my chest is working back down towards the ground. Now in this rehearsal, it may well look like I'm losing a bit of height. That's fine, I'm just trying to create these feels and these ideas where my chest turns back to face the golf ball. What I don't want to do is start to make this move here where my chest starts to feel like it's pointing more up over to the camera face on there, certainly not down towards the ground. So this is certainly something I want you to try at the driving range. Certainly something that I think is going to help you. It's going to give you some much better ideas, much better feels, and ultimately that's going to hopefully help you hit some better shots. Right, let me have a go. I've got about just over 150, so I've just got an 8 iron. Flag's a little bit tucked on the right, so let's see if we can get anywhere near that flag. Okay, just turning over a little bit, but that's not too bad. So if you find that you struggle with this early extension move, and you've maybe tried a few things to try and fix it and nothing's really worked, think about the chest. Do some drills without the golf club first. Think about the chest going from down at the ground, out to horizontal, but then down, back at the ground. That will help you keep your pelvis and your hips back, and that will definitely help you get some better looks in your body motion, and that ultimately should help the contact down at impact. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that helped. Hope it gives you something practical that you can take to the drive range. Usual stuff down below. There's a like button there, so if you did like the video, please click that. It really does help me. There is also a comments box, so any comments you've got on this video or any of the videos you'd like me to do, please post those down there. And there's also a link to subscribe to my channel. So if you haven't done already, loads more content on there, I should say. Loads more being uploaded weekly, so please click that link, subscribe for free, and don't miss that content. Right, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you again next time.